Akil's saying, did you know John Doerr? Did you meet him? Yeah, I did. So John Doerr is one of the top partners at Kleiner Perkins, which is a great venture capital firm. And I met him for the first time in December of 2015 when I was at the Kleiner Perkins holiday party in Menlo Park at the Circus Club. And I talked to him for a little while. It's pretty amazing. I mean, he's basically one of the best venture capitalists in history. And actually, he's never sold a share of Amazon. Never. And he was one of the early investors. And his return on investment is literally 5,000% on that, way, way higher even, right? So he's just an amazing investor. He knows that if you bet on great founders, you'll do exceptionally well in the long run. And he bet on Jeff Bezos at the time. So anyways, it was kind of cool for me. I was a little bit nervous. Actually, the guy that introduced me was a friend of mine named Andy Bechtolsheim. And Andy, who's also at that holiday party as well, and Andy has been the keynote speaker at a couple of events that I've organized in the past. He's amazing. Andy was the very first investor in Google. And Andy also was the first employee at Sun Microsystems. Sun stands for Stanford University Network. Oracle eventually bought Sun Microsystems. And I wrote an article about Andy Bechtolsheim in my Inc. column years ago. And it was an article about timing. And I asked Andy, why are you so successful? Like, he's never failed in his life. Every company he's started and most of the companies he's invested in. Why are you so successful? And he said because he always got the timing right. Timing is very important when it comes to success in investing and business in general. Right? If you think about it, after Steve Jobs left Apple, they came out with the Apple Newton, which is kind of like this thing, but it was way too early. It failed. Way too early. Timing was off. You know, Apple bought, Yahoo, which used to be a great company. Yahoo bought a company called GeoCities in the late 90s. That could have been Facebook. It wasn't. It was too early. Yahoo bought a company from Mark Cuban for a couple $1 billion called Broadcast.com. Right? That was in the late 90s. That could have been YouTube. It wasn't. They were too early. So Andy Bechtolsheim taught me that timing is extraordinarily important in business. He's amazing. And I actually asked him when he was keynoting one of my events, I asked him, what was it like investing in Google? And what happened? He said a buddy of his introduced him to Larry and Sergey, the founders of Google. And what he did was this. He wrote a check for $100,000 and he gave it to Larry and Sergey, right? He was betting on the founders. And a couple of weeks went by and Andy, he told me, this is a true story, it's funny. He called up Larry and Sergey and said, I noticed you haven't cashed my check. Do you still want my money? And Larry and Sergey said, yeah, we don't know how to cash it though. We don't know how it works. And so Andy had to actually explain to them, you have to register the company name, then go to the bank and deposit that check. And that was a very, very well-timed phone call because had they not cashed that check, he wouldn't have made billions off of Google.